Ben, today I have the review video, and that is their TWS600. I've had a pretty good week with it, and I've spent several hours with this thing, so I'm very excited to share my opinions and my impressions on how I think these perform, especially because I've been excited to try out to see what a higher-end true wireless earbuds can sound like. I know the introductory price ones and just this genre in general have been gaining a lot of popularity, so I'm excited to see what a audiophile company can take with that technology and run with. But without further ado, let's go ahead and start with the construction, and then we'll work our way down from there, shall we? So the construction, and I'll start with its egg-shaped case, is about what you would expect, at least it's what I expected from not just a product this price, but this genre of product. It is made of a hard plastic with a little bit of rubber on the bottom for it just to sit flat. You open it on a hinge where, as you can see, this is also, like I said, a charging case. You have a battery indicator that shows the case's charge. And then when the earbuds are actively charging, there will be a red light on the tops right here. When you pull them out, the earbuds will automatically go into pairing mode. Now, as soon as you pull them out, they will automatically pair to each other, and then this bud will automatically search for something to pair to. When you put them back in the case, they automatically turn themselves off, and as you're seeing here, they will auto start charging to keep their battery full at all times. Now, moving on to the construction of the actual earbuds themselves. The construction of the earbuds, very similar to that of the hard case or charging case, is all plastic. It is also an angle design tip, so when it's sitting in your ear, the angle, while this is sitting flush, this will go into your canal. That does a lot for comfort, as well as keeping it secure in your ear, which I will talk about on the next section. The horn is, I don't know the exact size, or as far as dimensions, but it's whatever the most common size of ear tips is. So if you have any tips laying around the house, or your own favorite tips, as you'll know, I swear by and use Comply memory foam. That's just what I've been using for years. They easily fit on this. I didn't have to change anything, and I didn't have to purchase any more other ones, so I'm very glad for that. On each tip, and I'll just work on holding one because it's all I need at this point. Yeah, as you can see right here, there is a singular button. Now, this button controls the entire ensemble of this of the TWS600. Now, both of which, both the left and the right earbuds, a single tap answers, hangs up, plays, and pauses your music. The left earbud, which is the one I'm holding, 2 taps is volume down, and 3 taps is track back. On the right earphone, 2 taps is volume up, 3 taps is track forward. That is how you control everything from the earphones themselves. Now, there is a microphone on both earpieces, and from my experience, when they're in your ear, you can hear your phone call very, very well. However, when both of them are in your ear, the person you are talking to says they can hear you fine, but you do sound quite distant, which would make sense because your microphone's all the way back here. A solution, and Hifiman actually put it into their initial instructions, is to take one tip out and then hold it, a comfortable distance away from your face, and that would solve most of your distance problem. Now, moving on to the comfort of which. Now, the comfort I really don't have any issues with. I really thought that during a workout, and I didn't get a heavy workout, so to disclaim there, I didn't get like super heavy or CrossFit or anything like that, just a general like weight trains, a little bit of jogging, something like that. They stayed very, very firm in my ears. I didn't have to readjust, or let me rephrase, when I started getting sweaty, the memory foam tips, that's the tips I was using, I did have to start pushing them in towards the end of my workout. I did tell they were starting to slip out, but not like a lot, just slightly out. But again, that was at the main end of my workout. Just generally listening, just like sitting back and just listening to your music, they just disappeared. They are incredibly lightweight, and they're comfortable. They are huge. I should have said that on the construction part, but these are very, very large. So they stick out of your ears a good bit. So with that being said, for those of you with smaller ears, both in the concha and in the canal, you may have issues fitting these in your ears. So just be wary of that. But getting back on track, as I was saying, they sit in your ears very, very nicely if you have the ear size to fit them. And they also do isolate respectably well. When I had these in my ear, I was still able to, if someone was calling my name, or I was still able to hear background, like the TV playing, etc., just stuff like this, background sounds, I was still able to hear. So they don't give me complete isolation, but they definitely drop the decibel level down quite a fair bit. So if you're just looking for an earphone that just stick in your ears and you ain't got to worry about, and you just want them just to be a comfortable experience, and you're one on the higher end side, I said roughly $200, definitely check out the TWS600. They're, from my experience, they were very, very comfortable. The longest I worn them was about 3 hours at one given time, which makes sense because I think that's actually the end of their battery life, because I believe a single charge on here goes for about 3.5 hours. And I would say I would at least get very close, because like I said, I went 3 hours and the battery has yet to die on me. Now, moving on to what y'all care the most about, and that is the sound. So how is the sound on a reasonably high-end, like I said, roughly $200 pair of true wireless IEMs from Hifiman? Now, the very first thing you'll notice when you put these in your ears is that these are some bright, and I mean bright, earphones. As soon as you put them in, the mids are pretty neutral and flat, and even the bass is quite flat. The bass is a little bit recessed. Not much, but it's neutrally recessed, if that makes sense. But the treble is definitely the focal point on these. This was actually the few times I actually did look at the frequency graph when I was listening to these, because I wanted to see just how spiky it was. And as you can see in the picture here, it's pretty high. It has a fairly high treble focus, which is very prominent. Now, when you're listening to classical music, like say Lindsey Sterling's violin, or higher pitched female vocals, such as Donna Burke's Glassy Sky, these sound really good. Very, very good. Especially like the violins and a flute, something of higher pitch. On the note of classical music, the soundstage is pretty small. Not claustrophobic, but I mean, it's about right here. So with that being said, larger orchestral pieces will start to blend together. So it will kind of be difficult to differentiate how many, and I'm not saying if you have like, oh, there's 4 flutes and 3 trumpets, no. But if there's like a lot of separate pieces, they will all kind of sound like 1 or 2. They don't do good separation because the soundstage is quite small. But that's about really it for the overall sound that I can really think of. But let me talk about more of the individual aspects of the sound. So maybe I can describe how they perform a little bit better. So starting with the treble and working my way down. The treble, as I said earlier in these, is definitely the focal point. These are very bright. Whether if you're listening to violins or, again, I sound like a broken record, but higher pitched female vocals, they have a definite focus on them, and their frequency range is accented. Violins sound very, very energetic. You can hear the resonance of the violin strings. So for those of you who do like treble focus sounds, you are going to enjoy these because they will be quite high pitched. They don't get piercing, but they definitely teeter on that edge. So I would really recommend these to someone who likes the more treble focused, bright sounding earphones or audio products. Now moving on to the mids. The mid-range is very, very, like I said, neutral to flat. Vocals, they sound very true. Like it sounds like you're actually talking to someone. Like in person, it sounds like you're talking to someone for the most part. For the sound that Hifiman was going for with their TWS600, the only real fault I can show on these, the only negative as for the sound that I could think of, is there's just no body to the mids. There's no like fleshiness. There's no like male vocals, and I listed Trace Atkins and Johnny Cash I know is too, but there's no raspiness in the voice. It just sounds like someone's talking when you know they have a natural raspiness to it. That's kind of a takeaway that I did notice myself missing. But when you're listening to like acoustic instruments, they sound like an actual instrument. They didn't sound forward. They didn't sound accented. It just mids. They just sounded like, oh, here you go. This is what you're listening to. a reference sound, I suppose. Now, moving on to the bass. Now, the bass, as I said, or I compare, is like the heartbeat of the music. That keeps your rhythm, that keeps your pace, that keeps your beat. It keeps everything in tone. It's what, when you're listening to it, what makes you bob your head, snap your fingers, tap your feet. It gets you kind of in that excited mood. There will be none of that, however, with the TWS600. They ain't got any bass to them at all. There's just, you hear the bass and you know, okay, that's a bass note, but there's no impact at all. There's definitely no sub-bass feel, but it's just there. So listening to, if you're like myself and you like to listen to like a lot of hard rock, such as Five Finger Death Punch, or like a genre I've been getting into to have some fun, just listen to in the background, trap, EDM, house, dubstep. I don't know the difference between all those, so I kind of lump them together. But those aren't really enjoyable on the TWS600. Now again, bass and the fun V-shaped sound was not what Hifiman was going for with the TWS600. They were going for a more detail, I'm presuming a more of a detail-focused sound, thus they went on the bright. They made them sound very bright. So, for those of you looking for a workout pair and you like to have that bass beat when you're working out, I really can't recommend the TWS600s to you. And I guess with this I can go ahead and go into my conclusion of this. But if you are looking for, like I said, just an earphone to kind of relax to, and you listen to a lot of orchestral music, acoustic, and just instrumentals, I think the TWS600 will actually be very befitting to what you're looking for. The battery life is fantastic. They're very, very comfortable to wear. They are sweat resistant, so you can work out in them. At least that I've noticed, have not noticed any negative effects. So for the most part, I will say Hifiman did a really good job putting their foot into the higher end true wireless earphone technology. And with that said, if this is only their opening foot, I am very excited to see what can come later down the line when they get more finessed, or they decide, okay, let's go for this route. Let's go for the fun sounding route. Let's go for the true audiophile neutral sounding route, and etc. Open it up. Maybe put a planner in there. That'd be kind of cool. Anywho, but I digress. But my friends, that is actually it for the review of the Hifiman True Wireless Earphones, the TWS600. If you have any questions, or if there's anything I may have missed that you would like me to clarify more, please hit me up in the comments down below, for I will absolutely read and reply to every single one of you, and I do enjoy hearing from you. But with that being said, as always, my name is Army-Firedawg. It has truly, truly been a pleasure, and most importantly, and please I ask of you, my friends, stay safe.